Hello, 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 and welcome back to Bri Speaks Podcast. I am your host, Bri Speaks, and today we are talking about good and evil. Woo! Does good and evil really exist? And I know you're like, oh my God, okay, wait, all right. I know you're like, Bri, what are you talking about? Of course, good and evil exist. Have you seen the president? Evil as ever. Like, with like people, all the people in jail, the patriarchy, Bri, you talk about it all the time. All the things that men do to women, they rape them and chop them up and put them in the little pits and throw them in a river. Like that is evil. And while yes, I agree that is evil. So I guess the answer is yes, it exists. But but I'm gonna dissect it a little bit because good and evil is like beauty. It is in the eye of the beholder. Now, is there objective evil? And I'm just like, I don't know. And here is why, because good and evil, it comes from the perspective of the person holding the frame of morality. Because while we feel like a man who is doing awful things to a woman is evil, and I do feel that way. Let me make that extremely clear. The man feels like what he's doing is, not so bad. Or if or I think about, just like murder in general. People feel like, murder is wrong, murder is wrong. But then whenever you say something like, okay, if someone broke into your house and was trying to unalive you, would you unalive them first? And the answer is absolutely yes. The answer is absolutely yes. You, if it's me or you, I'm taking you out, buddy. And so is it unaliving in and of itself that is wrong, or is it like unaliving unjustly that is wrong, right? And so then who creates the justification? Because I think about, if you listen to my episode on how the law is made to control and not to protect, I talked about how all of these corporate companies do things that they know the end result will be the unaliving of humans at the end of the day. Like an easy example was Ford. They created a very combustible engine that, like, if someone essentially tapped the front of their car into something, the engine would knock and explode and unalive everyone in that car. And they knew that was a thing that would happen, but rather than fix it for I think it was 11 cents that it would take to fix each car, recall each car and then fix it, they let it go on because they knew that they would make more profit from letting it go on and then, paying out $1 million here and there for a wrongful death suit, that was cheaper than it was to fix the car. So they just let it happen. And in their eyes, they felt like there was just justification. The cost outweighed the benefit. The benefit outweighed the cost of the lives. For them, the lives were less valuable than the money, which is crazy. But I'm okay. Let's take it back. So I want to take it back to Adam and Eve. I want to take it back to when Eve ate the apple off the tree, and the tree of knowing, the tree of right and wrong, the tree of good and evil, right? And if she ate off the tree, God told them if they ate off the tree, they would try to be like God, and they would think they knew right and wrong. They would think that they knew good and evil. And so that is why they should not, eat off the tree. And I read an interpretation of that from the book Ishmael. It's by Daniel someone. Excellent book, highly recommended. But he explained that the meaning of that story, while again, this is technically his interpretation and anyone can interpret it a myriad of different ways, but like when you boil it down to its kind of like fundamental roots, it was the people who ate off the tree of good and evil, of knowledge. They would either know what is good and evil, and they would, as humans, try to like determine that themselves, or they would think that they knew and then they would still determine that themselves. And what is determining good and evil? And this goes back to, if you watch my most recent episode on our narcissist apex predators, Um, Humans have decided that instead of allowing our population to shrink, we have decided, no, we will plant more food if we need it. If there's a drought, we will, go somewhere else, plant some more food and eat so that we can keep eating and reproducing. If there is, we run out of a certain, protein, a certain animal, if we've overhunt that animal, we will artificially create more of that animal instead of just not eating that animal and letting the population regrow. So that is a form of determining what is good and what is bad, what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is evil. Because humans we are the arbitrator, we are the masters of our own destiny, if you will. And so we are the ones who are deciding what is good and what is evil for ourselves versus allowing nature to do it for us. And nature is going to do what is right for the world. That's the thing. Humans think that we are the masters of the universe. We are the masters of the world. And we are made in God's image. That is what, a lot of religions say. And because we think that we are this special little snowflake who's made in God's image, we think that we know right from wrong and that we can determine what is good and what is bad. But the thing is that the thing that is good is always going to be good for humans, and then what is bad is always going to be bad for humans, without taking into account any other species that has been on this planet, that will be on this planet, that is on this planet co-inhabitating it with us. And that is, where my problem lies, is we feel like we are more important than every other species on this planet. And I know I'm gonna sound like a tree hugger. I know I'm gonna sound like, some hippie woo-woo person. But the thing is like, what does they say? What's good for the goose is good for the gambit, or something like that. It's like, while we think that not allowing people to starve is good, and it is good, but here's I don't like, capitalism comes in here, because the thing is like, whenever there's a population that doesn't have a lot of food, they just won't reproduce. It's not that some people will starve. Some people will starve in a world where we have to live off the land, and we can't, plant our own food, and we just have to kind of like understand what grows and what doesn't grow, when it grows and when it doesn't grow, and get things from nature and live in nature, with nature, in abundance of nature. If I'm just like, will people starve? It's like the humans have such a diverse palate. Like, we are omnivores, we eat meat, we eat plants, we eat herbs, it's not like we have one thing that we can eat, and if that thing runs out, then we will starve. It's like, okay, if plants aren't growing because of a drought or something like that, we'll be able to find animals and eat that for protein. And we should and can live off of protein. Protein is more than enough for our bodies. People don't know that. But my degree is in exercise and nutrition science, so just take my word for it. You need mostly protein, a little bit of carbs, a little bit of sugars, a little bit of like some fats. And that's a fantastic diet for the human being. But we have really inverted that, and we have made carbs the base of our diet. And, that's not good for us. That's sugar. Anyways, I'm tangenting on. I'm tangenting. But we are so afraid of not having enough. We have this scarcity mindset as a human species, that we created farming instead of, just, again, eating off of the land. And because we created farming, we destroyed our connection with nature. We destroyed our trust in the planet's ability to provide for us. And that has created this, again, like, that we are God. We are now determining our fate. We're not like, if there's a storm that washes away the things we were going to eat, instead of figuring out, okay, like, let's either move to a different place that's drier and not flooded, or let's and then, we'll come back. And when you come back, the fertile land that has had all of that water will now grow so much more. Like, that's the thing. People don't realize. Everyone sees good and bad in such a, like a momentary way. But there was a beautiful, like a Buddhist, I want to say, story that I heard recently. And I was like, this is a perfect example of what I've been trying to convey about good and evil for a while now. Is like there was let's say, I think it was like a cattle rancher or a horseman, a cowboy, something like that. And he had a prize horse. Okay, let me see if I can find the story so I can uh, read it better. Story of the prized horse. Okay, perfect. So, all right. So the story of the prize horse is a classic parable often called The Old Man and His Horse. And it illustrates what seems to be good and bad can be subjective as events unfold in unexpected ways. A farmer wins a prize with his magnificent horse at a village contest. His neighbors envy him, calling him lucky. But then the horse runs away. It escapes, and the neighbors offer their sympathy for his bad luck. The farmer calmly responds, "Who knows? Maybe it's bad, maybe it's good." The horse returns with others. A week later, the horse returns bringing with it a herd of wild horses. The neighbors now congratulate the farmer on his good fortune. The farmer again replies, "Who knows? Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad." Then the farmer's son attempts to tame one of the wild horses, but falls off and breaks his leg. The neighbors express their sorrow for his misfortune, and the farmer responds, "Who knows? Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad." Then the army comes to town. They arrive with a conscript for young men, but they pass by the farmer's house because his son cannot be drafted due to his broken leg. The neighbors are amazed, saying, "Isn't that great?" But the farmer's response remains the same. Maybe. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's bad. So this story, I think, is just like a perfect example of you don't like humans do not know what is good and what is bad. The way that Mother Nature works, it works in ups and downs. It works in highs and lows. It works in this ongoing and forever perpetual cycle of up and down because that is how she works. That is how it's like so the only only person or thing that knows what is good and what is bad is Mother Nature. Like people are like, "Oh my God, a hurricane is awful," and it's just like, yeah, a hurricane might be awful for humans who had houses there, but there might be animals who needed that hurricane for something or reason or another, and then those animals move and they help rebuild houses for someone else somewhere else. Like, and then those horses, like they say, I don't know. It's like humans are like trying to control the weather at this point. I heard there's some projects trying to figure out how to control the weather, and it's just like that is none of your business, big dog. Like controlling the weather is not your job, human person. Like trying to grow crops when they are out of season is not your job, big dog. If they're not supposed to be there, they're not supposed to be there. Like if humans, like if there's not enough resources to like for every person in the village to get a bunch of food so that they can, again, it'll only end up going to reproduction and making the population grow, then that means the population shouldn't grow, big dog. Like the only reason why like these narcissistic systems, they always want more. They like capitalism. It's like every quarter you have to report your growth as a company. In religion, you are always trying to recruit new members. In patriarchy, you're always trying to get men and women to get together to have more children. You want straight couples only, to have more children, and then in racism, you want to reproduce a certain kind of person so that you can, honestly, and a lot of white people might not like this one, but I do feel like white people, just white culture is very cult-like. Like the neurotypical white person has a brain that is like more easily controlled. And so I do think that racism wants more white people because white people are more easily controlled. Like, fight me in the comments. Fight me in the comments. That is okay. I'll take it. But from my experience as a Black woman in the United States of America, it is like white people look at Black people in such a negative way oftentimes because they see our freeness, like they see our ability to dance, to laugh, to speak loudly, to have joy, to dance however we want to dance. and they like look at us with contempt a lot of times, because it's like how dare you think you can do that? How dare you think you can do what you want to do? How dare you think you can, speak back to authority? How dare you think you can do this? How dare you think you can be unique? You can stand out. You can be different. You're supposed to assimilate. You're supposed to be a standardized human. You're supposed to follow directions. You're supposed to be in the assembly line. Like, that is like a lot of white culture is standing in, like, standing in line, staying in line. That's where I'm looking for. Is a lot of white culture is staying in line, doing what you're told, do not stand out, do assimilate, assimilate. And a lot of literally every other culture is the opposite. Is embrace your culture, embrace who you are, be who you want to be. With the exception of patriarchy is still in a lot of cultures, so a lot of people still don't, accept gayness or transness or any other queer identity, which is just bull spit, I tell you what, because it's just like, let people just be people and everyone will be happy. I promise you with all my heart and soul, if everyone was allowed to be who they wanted to be unapologetically, and they could express themselves however they wanted to express themselves, be it like with their clothes, their jewelry, their tattoos, their piercings, their hair color, their hairstyles, like if and their sexuality, like if everyone could just be, the world would be a better place, a better and brighter place for all. But anyway, so the patriarchy is intertwined in a lot of different cultures, but outside of the patriarchy, a lot of other cultures are very communal. You help me, I help you. There's not like this capitalistic, individualistic mindset that pushes everyone to me, my, I'm first, me first. And it's like, there's not that I don't promote self-sacrifice. I'm not a big fan of that, because because again, a lot of that ends up falling on women, and women have to sacrifice themselves a lot of times for grown men. But there is, like, as humans, we do have this communal aspect about us. We are supposed to help one another. We are supposed to uplift one another, but it's supposed to come from a place of love and not from a place of obligation, if that makes sense. It's supposed to be like, I love my sisters, I love my family, I love my mom, my dad, my friends, and so I will do this for them, even though it's inconvenient for me, or even though it might cost me a little money. But like religion, it says, I'm going to do this for my mom, my family, my church, even if it hurts me, even if it comes at my expense, even if I have to sacrifice myself for it. And that is the difference. That's the difference between doing something from a communal mindset and doing something from a martyrer or self-sacrifice mindset. And that is what religion promotes that self-sacrifice. That's what capitalism promotes. It promotes capitalism promotes individualism. Like, it doesn't even promote doing things for other people. It's like, if I do something for you, pay me my money. Where's my money? Where's my coin? So anyways, that's capitalism, patriarchy, racism, and religion. My four horsemen of the apocalypse, and what they're always up to something. They're always up to something somewhere. But yeah, so that is why I said, so going back to the prompt, does good and evil actually exist? Now what do you think? It's like, evil is, it is selfish, it is hurt other people for myself, like for my own benefit or my own pleasure. And that is like that. If you say, I don't know, if you think of evil as like the opposite of love instead of the opposite of good, I think anything that promotes love, because I do think like all humans are supposed to have like just this unending love for humanity and for one another. Like, and that is just what it is to be a species. To be a species, you are supposed to promote the betterment of your species. Like, if we were dogs, like, you don't see, like, dogs will fight one another, sure, but they don't find pleasure in like hurting. They will rather like dominate, I guess, or like be head of the pack, but then they'll do things that are still they'll still lead the pack. They won't just like control the pack for their own pleasure. Does that make sense? Like, in nature, in the nature world, even when you have people who are like even when you have species that are patriarchal, it is still for the betterment of all of the species. So it's like, I'm not saying that we are not supposed to look at what is good for us as humans, but we are not supposed to look at what is good for us as humans. I was going to say as like, while not caring about what's good for the rest of the world. But like, because like, it's like, again, technically that's not our job. It's like the job of all of the universe, of Mother Nature, to do the large scale, big picture, like mapping of humans and animals and making sure all the ecosystems are working in balance. But humans really have taken too big of a role. Humans have taken too big of a role, and I can't support it. I can't support it. And that's why I'm just like, I don't know if good and evil really exists, because like what we do that we think is good for us is not good for, like, it's not good for all humans most of the time. There's really nothing, well, there are some things that are good for all humans, but those are not the things that we are doing as humans. And I won't even say we. I will say the people who are the leaders of each individual country, they're looking at their individual country and they're not looking at the betterment of humanity. But it's like they're put in a position where they have to look at what is good for their country, because if they try to do things that are good for the betterment of humanity, they will be taken advantage of by narcissistic a-holes in other countries who are looking out for the betterment of themselves and their country, but specifically themselves. Yeah, this is hard. This is a hard one. But I've had this video on my mind for a while, so I've been wanting to get it out, but I haven't did it all this time because I still didn't have a good way of explaining what I was thinking. But I hope that I not helps, but I hope that helps you understand what I've been thinking of, like, cause like, is good and evil real? Like, it is a morality was created by humans. It's just, when I look at everything through the lens of nature, and when I look at, like, will a lion kill an antelope? It will, for food. And it's like, it doesn't feel bad about it. It's just like, that's what it was made to do. So is killing inherently bad? I would say no. If I'm being honest, I would say no, because it's like, within your species, even then, because like, even within your species, if another lion is challenging you, you have the right to fight that lion. You have the right, if another person is challenging you, you have the right to fight that person. And how far that fight goes is up to the two competitors, but it's like, yeah, I gotta do what you gotta do. And I would rather have people fight each other than have everyone be afraid to take action for themselves because of fear of consequences from this artificial justice system that has been created. I hate the justice system, not because I'm a Black person, although I'm sure that's a part of it, but from a just like a neutral analytical standpoint, I hate the justice system because it has outsourced all of our power, our ability to to create consequences for us, like for ourselves and for others. Like, if something bad happens to me, I would love the ability to not necessarily take vengeance. That's like, I don't believe in like revenge, but like to hold people accountable. An eye for an eye. Hey, I am a big fan of an eye for an eye. I really am. And I think if everyone on the planet lived with the mentality of an eye for an eye, there would be a lot less crime. There would be a lot less harm. There would be a lot, because like, it would literally force empathy into everybody. Like, if you are not able to do something without having that thing done back unto you, so many people would stop doing BS. Like, imagine a world where Donald Trump grew up, y'all, and every time he hurt someone or hit someone or harmed someone, he was hurt and hit and harmed back. Like, that's the world I want to live in. That's the world I want to live in. I would love to live in, and I think that it would solve so many problems. And yeah, it's just like, and then, okay, right, because everyone's like, what if you like accidentally kill somebody or something like that? Like, that's different. But it's like, if someone does something by accident, and I also feel like another reason why the justice system sucks is like, we are not able to it is like you're judged by a jury of your peers, but one, those peers are not really your peers. Those are not going to be the same people, most of the time, they're not going to be the same race as you. They're not going to be grow up in the same community as you. They're not going to have the same social economic status as you. And so I truly feel like judgments of any punishment should come from one's community, because they know who you are. They know your character. They know what you've done, and they will much easier be able to tell if you did something truly by accident or if you did something with malice intent. We have this whole court system set up so that people can, go through all this crap, and figure out, if they're good or if they're bad. And then it's just like the system is so freaking stupid, because at the end of the day, it's literally not about if you're good or if you're bad, if you're good or you're evil. It's about if you have money or if you don't have money. It's like, that's literally it. Like, even if you get a free attorney, like, that is never going to be the same as someone who is rich, who has a paid attorney who can dedicate all their time and energy to that one case. Like, it's just the system, the justice system is not about justice. It's about who's the richest and who's the poorest. Like, if you are poor, you will go to jail. If you are not poor, you will not go to jail. It doesn't matter if you did it or if you're not. Like, it doesn't matter if they're like the Cassie and Diddy case. Like, it's just like, if you had a community of his peers, well, actually, the way rich people work these days, they will all release each other into the wilderness to keep doing awful, evil things. But in a world where there were no billionaires, let's say, right? And Diddy did what he did, and Cassie came and was just like, hey, this man hurt and harmed me in these ways. If he would lived in an actual community of people, and everyone in the community, or like the community elders, let's say, came and was just like, Diddy, you are being accused of these things by Cassie. What say you? He says no. And then that community of elders was able to go around and talk to people like in the community who has interacted with Diddy, and then also talk to other girls who have interacted with Diddy. And then they all said like, yeah, nah, he sucks. It will be, Diddy, you are subject to punishment, and eye for an eye. These are the things that you have to do, or that will be done to you. And it's just like, is that evil? I don't think so. I think it's fair. I think it's fair. I think it's a reasonable like way to get things done. Like, keep justice within small communities, within the community of your people, and those are the only people who can judge you for your actions, because those are the only people who actually know you. And your punishment will be directly proportional to your crime. Directly. There's no, you like did this, and so this will happen to you, or like, maybe you'll get this amount of time, or maybe you'll get that amount of time. It's just like, no, if this is what you did, this is what's happening to you. Like, like, that's like, yeah, nobody wants to say that. But it's just like, if you torture a young child, you will be tortured. Like, I just don't, what's wrong with, like, y'all, I know y'all gonna think I'm a lunatic. I'm not a lunatic. I promise I'm not a lunatic. But I just think there's a better way to have society be run outside of like this quote unquote justice system that only helps rich people get away with crap, and then helps poor people be put in jail and have to do free labor be enslaved for their free labor. So anyways, you tell me, what do you think? Does good and evil really exist, or is it just people doing what is in their best interest, or in the best interest of their friends or their family or their group, or even their species, and that's it? Or like people or animals just living out their desires and their instincts. Is that evil? I don't know. What do I know? I'm just a person on YouTube. Thank you for listening to this episode of Bri Speaks Podcast. If you would like to listen to more, you can always follow me on TikTok at Bri.Speaks. If you're listening to this on YouTube, you can find me on Spotify at Bri Speaks Podcast. If you listen to me on Spotify, you can find this on Bri at Bri.Speaks on YouTube. And if you would like to see my narcissistic social hierarchies of control and have it as a PDF that you can put on your wall, or put on a t-shirt, or put on a blanket, please find it at free2adhd.com. That's FREETO ADHD.com. And if you want to just support me, you can also buy my hoodie that I created and designed myself. It took a long time, and I'm really proud of it. And it's really, really comfy. So it's like the comfiest hoodie you'll probably ever own, I promise. So yeah, you can also find that at free2adhd.com. That's my website. Thank you for listening. I hope this didn't confuse you too much, but I hope you learned something, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.